Hi everyone, your Ralph here with another vlog. So recently My Hero Academia just finished season 6, and like I've done with the other seasons, I'm going to be doing a recap of season 6 and just my general thoughts on the season. So yeah, now of course since I'm going to be recapping the season, there's going to be spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled on the events of season 6, then you probably shouldn't watch this, but yeah. Anyways, so season 6, right off the bat, it was just a lot happened in this season. Probably the most action-packed season out there so far, and it was just an incredible season. Probably my favorite out of all of the seasons so far. Maybe tied with season 3, because that one was just really good as well, but this one really good. Also, both of the opening and ending themes for this season were really good, and I'm probably gonna have to listen to them more just because I really enjoyed listening to them. I might need to add the first one to like my running playlist. Anyways, I have a lot here. I typed out like all of the major points of this season on a notepad document, so I'm gonna try to make this as concise as possible. But the season starts off with the battle against the Paranormal Liberation Front. It is right continuing from where season 5 left off, where the League of Villains and the Meta Liberation Army, I think that's what it calls, where they join forces to make the Paranormal Liberation Front. And the end of season 5 ended with like heroes and students joining up to attack them, and that's where this season starts off. So at the beginning it starts off with a few of the heroes, namely Endeavor and Mirko, who is this bunny hero, and some others. I think Aizawa is there as well. They go to the hospital where All For One's scientist person is working, Dr. Garaki. So they confront him, and there's this whole thing where there's a fake Garaki made by some person with a clone quirk. I think Twice. Yeah, I think Twice makes like a clone quirk, but yeah, there's a fake Garaki. Then Garaki goes into like the hideout at the bottom of the hospital, releases some Nomus. Then it cuts to an attack at the villa that the Paranormal Liberation Front is at. There's a ton of villains there, and a ton of heroes. Heroes and students are there. And then there is a part where Hawks gets into a fight with Twice, and Hawks reveals that he is a double agent, and Twice is heartbroken. Hawks tries his best to convince Twice to turn over a new leaf. Doesn't really work. And then Dobby comes in to just to get involved, and then that forces Hawks to unfortunately kill Twice. Like he doesn't want to kill him, but Twice, if Twice were to unleash his quirk, then that could just mean a lot of damage, since Twice can just clone himself and just make a big army for the Paranormal Liberation Front to eventually overpower people. But because Hawks kills him, that doesn't happen, and that's pretty sad, because Hawks, he didn't want to kill him. Twice probably has the most heart out of anyone in the League of Villains, and it was just a shame. But yeah, after that, Dobby continues to fight with Hawks and reveals that he knows who Hawks' true identity is. But then Tokiyami comes in to save Hawks, and yeah, Hawks is badly burnt. His wings are burnt up, so he can't really like fly or anything, and he's pretty much out for the first half of the season. Anyways, we cut back to the hospital hideout. Mirko is fighting some Nomus. There's other heroes there, and she eventually gets to where Shigaraki is, because he was put into stasis, and they try to stop him from reawakening, So that doesn't happen. They fail at stopping him from being reawakened, and they also reveal that Shigaraki has been implanted with All For One's original All For One quirk, as well as a bunch of other ones. And yeah, he wakes up, destroys the hospital and like the surrounding city with his decay quirk that has been powered up at the end of last season. So that's not good. And then as soon as he wakes up, he finds a quirk erasing bullet from Overhaul's group. I forgot what it was called, but he does that. He has a communicator to tell the giant thingy, Gigantomachia, to wake up because Gigantomachia obeys him. So that happens, and then we cut to the villa where Toga is attacking people. Gigantomachia wakes up and all that, and then Toga is killing people because she's angry that Twice is dead, which is understandable because they were friends. And then we cut to Endeavor, who gets to where Shigaraki is, and then they fight. And Shigaraki starts using a bunch of his other quirks. He can regenerate if he gets hurt, which is really, really bad. And then Shigaraki just gets a message in his head to go get One For All, and he has a quirk that can search for it, which is not good. And then let's see, where am I at? There's a lot here. A lot happens in the season, and this is still like in the first half of it. So Shigaraki gets that message, he goes to where the quirk is, and then Endeavor warns everyone about it. Deku finds out, it's like, oh, Shigaraki's after One For All, I need to get away from all these people that were helping evacuate the city. So he leaves the evacuees. Bakugo also leaves with Deku because he's like, hey, I want to fight too, because I'm Bakugo and I do that. So then that happens, and then Shigaraki just catches up to them because I think he has a quirk that lets him move fast. I don't exactly remember. But Shigaraki does that, then Gran Torino just shows up out of nowhere and saves Deku and Bakugo. Then the other heroes join in. So we get this really, really big fight now with Shigaraki and a whole bunch of other people just trying to stop him. And Deku in the middle trying to not get his quirk captured, and things get really intense. So Aizawa is there, and he is using his erasing quirk to keep Shigaraki from using his quirks, but then it's also revealed that Shigaraki's body was also just given super strength, so that's kind of not fair, but oh well. Then we cut to Gigantomachia running from the villa to catch up to where Shigaraki is, and then a bunch of heroes and students are trying to stop him. And then among them there's Midnight and Mount Lady. Also, Gigantomachia has the League of Villains hitching a ride on him, which I guess he can do that, just he's big enough to carry the entire League of Villains. But Mount Lady is notable because like she puts up a really, really good effort to try to stop Gigantomachia, since she can match him in size. But yep, then Class A, or 1A and 1B work together to stop Gigantomachia after some of the other heroes can't. Yayorozu makes like an anesthetic to try to put him to sleep, and they get it into his mouth, but once the anesthetic gets into his mouth, Gigantomachia transforms and just keeps on going. He just continues running, and the students are like, well, that sucks. Then fight with Shigaraki continues. He ends up injuring Gran Torino in the leg. Like I think he like punches right through one of his legs, or like just grabs it and like throws him down. I don't exactly remember, but does that. He ends up getting restrained by like the dragon hero. I forgot what her name is, but in the midst of that kerfuffle happening, Shigaraki, he takes the one quirk erasing bullet that he has and fires it towards Aizawa, and it hits him in the leg. So that was a really good cliffhanger, I will admit. But once it gets to the next episode after that, Aizawa, he just cuts off his leg to prevent his quirk from being erased. And even that's not enough to stop Shigaraki. Shigaraki just breaks free from his restraints, makes it over to Aizawa, and like scratches one of his eyes and just knocks him out. So Shigaraki, doing that, is now free to use his quirks. Then Deku, he gets angry, uses his Black Whip quirk to restrain Shigaraki, and just starts wailing on him like full power, just like beats him up. And then Endeavor's like, you know what? I'm gonna beat him up even more. Grabs Shigaraki and then uses his Prominence Burn attack, which is like a really big fire thing that almost kills Shigaraki. It leaves him just like a charred mess. And then All For One ends up just taking over Shigaraki's body. And that's where things take a turn for the worse, because after All For One takes over Shigaraki, he uses his little black stabby thing to just stab Endeavor and tries to stab Deku, but Bakugo rushes in to save him. That's another cliffhanger. Bakugo survives though, and then Shigaraki tries to steal One For All. Or it's really All For One that's doing it because he's possessing Shigaraki's body now. But then we cut to the inside of the One For All mindscape / I think they call it the Vestige world, or I think that's just what I've been calling it. But inside the Vestige world, All For One is trying to take Deku's quirk, but then All For One's younger brother, who is the first user of One For All, shows up in the mindscape and he's like, nah, you can't take Deku's quirk, bro. And then yeah, he doesn't take the quirk because All For One's brother said no. And then we cut to a fight between Toga and Uraraka, because Uraraka is like busy helping some civilians evacuate and ends up crossing paths with Toga inside like an abandoned building. But that happens. Then Toga leaves. So yeah, she's like, Toga's gone like for the rest of the season after that. But then yeah, after that, Gigantomachia makes it to where Shigaraki is. The League of Villains are there too, since they were hitching a rat on him. And then that's where Dabi reveals that he is Endeavor's son, Toya. And that's something I think was hinted at throughout the series, or people were speculating on. But ooh, that was a really good episode where they revealed that. And he doesn't reveal it to just Endeavor, but he also has a broadcast going on throughout the entire either country or the world, letting everyone know that, hey, Endeavor is my dad. I am a villain and I have done some bad things, and Endeavor is the cause of that. So he's trying to cause like chaos in society by doing that. And then he's like, oh, also Hawks, he's also, since he's pals with Endeavor, he's also not that good of a person, and I have this clip of him killing twice to prove it. So that was a very an emotionally charged moment. And then Dabi, after he does that, he basically gives Endeavor a panic attack, and he's like, ooh, he's panicking. Now is the time to use my own Prominence Burn to kill him. But before he does that, Best Jeanist shows up. He's like, hey, I faked my death, and I am here to arrive in a very stylish way, because it's cool that way. So yeah, Best Jeanist shows up after faking his death, which I thought was pretty cool. And he shows why he is the third best hero, because he was always someone that I didn't really have that high of an opinion of until this season, admittedly, but yeah. And then Best Jeanist arrives and like restrains Gigantomachia, Dabi, everyone in the league, just Really, really cool. And then some Nomus arrive to stop Best Jeanist from doing that, but then while that's happening, since he's busy restraining them, he can't really fight back, so these Nomus take advantage of that. Then Mirio comes back all of a sudden. Lemillion, Buff Lucas, as I've called him in the past, he shows up, and his quirk was restored by Aerie from, was it season 4 when that happened? I think it was season 4. Wow. Dang, that was a while ago. But Mirio has his quirk back, and he is able to help out and join reinforcements with fighting the Nomus while Best Jeanist is holding them back. Then Bakugo joins in on the fight, and he reveals to everyone, but first to Best Jeanist, because that was his first agency that he joined. He reveals his new hero name, which I love it. I absolutely love it. Bakugo's hero name is Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite, which it's a very good name. I also like how his hero name takes some inspiration from All Might's name by having Might at the end of Dynamite spelled like the word Might, M-I-G-H-T. So he's like having his inner All Might fanboy in his hero name, which I thought was cute. But yeah, he does that, and I think his quirk gets powered up a little bit too. So yeah. And then the fight continues. Endeavor punches Gigantomachia after he gets a little pep talk from Deku. And then the anesthetic that he swallowed from the students finally kicks in, and Gigantomachia just falls straight down. Then, yeah, Shigaraki leaves with Nomus, and Deku tries to fight back and stop him from running away, but All For One is like, nah, I'm running away with Shigaraki, and you can't do anything about it. So, yeah, Shigaraki gets away with some members of the league, but some of the other members do end up getting captured, like Mr. Compress and Gigantomachia and someone else, I think. But that's the end of the first half of season 6, and it's a lot. Whew. Sorry, I needed a water because I was talking a lot. But anyways, onwards to the second half of season 6. Jeez, this is a big notepad document. Anyways, second half starts off with the aftermath of the battle, and we show that Midnight is among the many heroes that died from that battle. There's a whole bunch of other heroes too, like someone that tried to stop Shigaraki from awakening, and he got caught up in Shigaraki's decay quirk. So that was sad. And then it shows like some heroes that are like in the midst of like cleaning up the rubble and helping civilians out. Some heroes like, this is too much, I'm just gonna quit because that's way above my pay grade. So that happens. Shigaraki is still possessed by All For One, and All For One's like, you know what, I'm gonna take over your body and we're gonna break into the Tartarus, that big prison where my original body is, and free my original body. And some of these other villains too, like Stain and Muscular and other villains that I don't know the names. They didn't really bother to give them names, but those are like some of the notable ones. So All For One's original body is now free, which is not good. And then yeah, then we cut to the hospital where the 1A students are, and Endeavor. And Deku is in a coma after that big battle. Understandable, because he did a lot in that battle. Also, we get to see some of Hawks' backstory. So Hawks, he was raised by some like small-time villain, and that villain ended up being caught by Endeavor. So Hawks and his mom were like just homeless, and then he was recruited into the it's called the Public Safety Commission. That's the group that he was doing like undercover work for, and he was recruited at the cost of just shedding away his old identity. But Hawks not Hawks, Dobby was able to find out his old identity by like sending thugs after Hawks' mom years after, like right before the start of season 6, which is how Dobby was able to find out Hawks' name. So yeah. And then we just see shots of people, they're losing faith in heroes after that big battle because there was a lot of destruction, a lot of casualties, and in the face of all of that backlash, some heroes even retire, like the number 9 hero. I don't remember what he was called, but like he's like some old guy. He's like, yeah, I just wanted to be a hero to be popular, but this is I'm just gonna retire. And there was a hero, I forgot what his name was, but he was a very prominent one, and he just couldn't handle the backlash because everyone's just saying like heroes can't do crap now, and it's a shame that we see a bunch of these upstanding heroes just retire. And I mean, like, some of them that are only in it for like the popularity and whatever, like seeing them retire, I'm like it kind of sucks. But I mean, if they're not really in it, then I mean, I guess. But yeah. Anyways, Endeavor wakes up at the hospital and he has an emotional breakdown because he's like, whew, my son is alive. I thought Toya was dead, and he's also a villain, and I just did all these terrible things. So yeah, he's having an emotional moment. Then his family comes in, including his wife Ray, and then we get some Toya's backstory. So we see in the past when Toya was a kid, he tried to get his dad's approval because Endeavor at the time was the number 2 hero, and Endeavor realized that Toya, his body wasn't composed to handle his fire quirk, so Toya like was at risk of like seriously hurting himself. So Endeavor, he's like, hey, you need to just relax, you don't need to be a hero. And then Toya's like, nah, I'm doing this for you. And he just has an emotional breakdown over that, and just becomes more of a mess. Toya ends up like snapping at both Endeavor and his mom, and like that's what leads up to Todoroki, or Shoto, getting the scar on his is it that side of the face? But yeah, and then that's how that happened. So yeah, and then one day after training, Toya's like, hey, I can make blue flames. Endeavor, Dad, you should go up to this mountain with me so I can show you the results of my training. And Endeavor and his wife are both like at a loss for words. Like, they don't know how to confront Toya with this because they don't want him to continue. So Toya is still up in the mountain while Endeavor and Ray, they don't show up because, again, they don't know how to confront him, and Toya just gets into a fit of emotional rage and ends up burning down the mountain himself, which is why present day Dobby looks the way he does. Like, he looks like bits and pieces of his body are burned off and things like that. And they just assume that he died, which is also kind of understandable because it was an entire mountain that burned down. So yeah. And at this point, Ray tells Endeavor, it's like, hey, what happened with Toya, it's not just your fault, it's the entire family's fault, because we all share some responsibility in how Toya turned out. As there's like scenes of like Toya talking to his siblings, and like, and everyone's like, in hindsight, if we just listened to Toya a little bit more, we probably could have prevented this from happening. But like, she's right in that like the entire family does share the blame for this. But yep. Then they all agree that they have to stop him, which is kind of sad because yeah, it's just like one big family mess, and also the entire world knows about it now, so that's not good, because because Endeavor's reputation has just gone down after this. Like, his reputation was like starting to get up there, and then it just comes crashing down because of Dobby. So, yep. And then Hawks and Best Jeanist arrive, and, okay, Endeavor, what do you know about One for All? And then, Endeavor's like, One for All? Deku mentioned something about that, so then, cuts to, Deku, who is now, talking to the previous users of All for One, or One for All, in the Vestige world, and this is where we get some information on Deku's quirk. So, here, the fourth user of the quirk, I don't remember his name, but he has the Danger Sense quirk that Deku unlocked in the middle of his, like towards the end of his fight with Shigaraki. The fourth user says that he died of old age at 40 years old, which is weird. But then they explain that because One for All just continuously gets more and more powerful, it causes those that receive it, if they have quirks, it'll cause their bodies to age very rapidly. And the reason why that didn't happen with some of the others was because they died in battle against All for One, and the fourth user was the only one that was able to like live up to that old age at 40 and just die that way. And it didn't work on All Might because All Might, he didn't have a quirk when he received it, so he was able to live past 40 with his quirk. And then that's how they figured out that Deku is probably going to be able to live past 40 and just like live normally because he also didn't have a quirk. But then they also say that because of how powerful One for All is getting, Deku is probably going to be the last user of the quirk. So that's both interesting, but it's also a shame because I always thought like the series would end with Deku passing on the quirk to someone else and giving a very similar speech to what like All Might did to him, but I don't think that's gonna happen now. Anyways, Deku continues to talk with some of the other users and talks with the seventh user, All Might's mentor, who is Shigaraki's grandmother, and Deku resolves to save Shigaraki from All for One because from his perspective, it looked like Shigaraki wanted to be saved from All for One. Don't know if I agree with that, because Shigaraki did some pretty bad things, but he also says that he'll, like, if he has to, he will kill him, which I'm like, okay, that's probably what's gonna happen. But, I mean, it's nice that Deku is willing to at least try to save someone, even if it is Shigaraki. Anyways, All Might. Then he tells Endeavor, Hawks, and Best Jeanist about what One for All is, and then the last shot of that particular episode is Deku leaving UA. And the reason he leaves UA is because he doesn't want to put anyone in danger. He leaves a note to all of his classmates and saying that he's just gonna leave school, leave his mom, and he just essentially becomes a vigilante. He starts hunting for various villains that have a connection to All for One. The first one that he fights is Muscular, who broke out of the Tartarus, and we get to see that Deku is now using another quirk called Smokescreen from the sixth user, and he beats Muscular like in no time. So like that's a stark contrast to like his first fight with Muscular, where he had to push past his limits and win, but here he just like beats him up, no problem. And then Deku just continues to fight some other villains. He saves this rabbit girl, like this really tall rabbit-looking girl. I don't know if it's a rabbit, some kind of animal-esque girl, which that gets referenced later on, which is why I have it here as a note. Deku fights this person named Lady Nagan, who was at the Tartarus. She broke out after All for One broke out of Tartarus, and she is Hawks' predecessor in the Public Safety Commission, and she became disillusioned with Hero Society after being forced to do a lot of dirty jobs involving like a lot of shady killings, and then she eventually killed the previous head of the Safety Commission. That's why she was in jail. But yep, Deku fights her. Deku uses another quirk called Fajin, which is a pretty cool quirk, where he can store kinetic energy and just use that to propel himself. So, like, what he has been using, for example, is like just continuously doing squats with his knees and storing up the kinetic energy from that, and then just unleashing it all to just zoom super fast. And he uses that to eventually win the fight against Lady Nagant, who received a quirk from One for All. Her normal quirk is like a sniper quirk with her hair being used as bullets and firing it off like with her right arm, I think. But yeah, Deku wins by like breaking the barrel of her gun or something, and she's like, "Hey, Lady Nagant, you can help out in this fight against All For One." And then Lady Nagant's like, "Yes, I can." And then All For One's like, "Hey, that quirk I gave you, I'm gonna blow it up." So she gets taken out. She gets blown up, but she lives. She barely lives, and tells Deku, it's like, "Hey, all for one said that he's gonna be at this hideout in this random location." So yeah, after getting that info, Deku and the top 3 heroes, they go to that hideout, and then there's a recording where All For One's like, "Ha, got you. I'm not actually here." Tries to blow up the building, and everyone escapes, but then Deku's like, "I'm angry at that. I didn't like being tricked." So yeah, then Deku just continues looking for any clues that could lead to All For One. All Might tells him to rest. The previous users of One For All tell him to rest, and there's this pretty emotional scene where All Might, like, he tries to like convince Deku to rest, and Deku's like, "No, like, now that I can move as fast as you could, I don't need you anymore." He says something along those lines, or like that. And like All Might's like, "I promised I would help you out, but like I can see that like you're doing your best to avoid me, and I know what it's like to push yourself like this. So please rest." And Deku just doesn't. So I got teary-eyed at that. And then Deku just he ends up meeting this one villain, Dictator, I think is his name, who could like control people. So like Deku tries to stop him, but because he hasn't been resting, he's been like running himself ragged. He's basically he basically collapses from exhaustion, and before that villain can beat him, Class 1A shows up and like, "Hey, Deku, you need to chill out and rest. We're here to help out." So Deku's like, nah, I don't want to put you in danger, so I'm going to try to run away. So that happens, and then we get to Deku fighting Class 1A. So the fight between Deku and 1A was a really good episode. There's Deku trying to run away and not put his class in danger, but his class is like, "No, we're here to just be with you, because you're gonna run yourself down and collapse again," and all that. Like, they're just worried about him. Pretty much everyone in the class, with probably like a few exceptions I couldn't think of, like nearly everyone just like gives Deku a pep talk, and like how like they say like how he's helped them out and whatnot. And there's this really cool callback to season 3 where they do the same thing, where they bring back the same tactic they used to rescue Bakugo, with like the giant ice slide and like just flying up to catch up to Deku, and it ends with Ida catching up to Deku. Really cool. Set to Yusei Run. Excellent use of music right there. And then after that, after Ida catches up to Deku and like grabs hold of him, they, like, everyone in class just like gathers up to them, and Deku continues to be like, no, I don't want to put you in danger. Then Bakugo, he finally says what he's been meaning to say to Deku, and he just has a really heartfelt apology, and he even calls Deku by his actual name, Izuku, which, ooh, hit me right here in the feels. But he finally apologizes, and Deku accepts the apology, and then he finally collapses from exhaustion and is brought back to UA. And then when he's there, there's an entire mob of angry people. Because they're like, hey, don't bring Deku back into UA because there's rumors that Shigaraki is after him and all this other stuff. So the mob is really angry. Then Uraraka just gives one of the best speeches in the anime so far. She like jumps up to like the top of the UA entrance building, and just she has a megaphone and just tells everyone, hey, like, you need to let Deku rest, because he's doing all this work to help you out. He's just a normal kid. Y'all should just treat heroes better than you have been treating them, and all this really. I cried at this speech, especially once Deku started crying over it, because it got me right here. It was a really, really good speech, and whatever I say about it cannot do it justice, because it was just that good. And there's even a callback to All Might's speech at the very beginning of the series, and how Deku was brought to tears in like pretty much the same way. Like it's a very, very nice parallel, and I'm about to get emotional talking about it again. Anyways, after the speech, Kota from season 3 and the rabbit girl, animal girl person that Deku saved earlier in season 6 rush up to Deku and like, hey, whatever burden that you're taking, we'll be there to help you out, so you don't need to cry. And Deku, of course, is a crybaby, so he just continues crying, and then everyone else in the crowd is like, maybe we were wrong to ostracize Deku and nearly push him away from getting rest. So everyone in the mob goes in to help him, and that was a good end to that episode as well. Because, I mean, it's just like heroes and civilians working together to help Deku out, and it was really good. Then the last episode of the season, or the episode ends with All Might like leaving. It's like, hey, I failed to help out Deku. So that happens, and the last episode of the season, Deku is getting his rest, but All Might, he just leaves. He's wallowing in a little bit of self-pity. He's like, I'm kind of the cause for all this happening, because everything I did to help society just went crumbling down. Then Stain shows up out of nowhere because he broke out of the Tartarus. He gives All Might a pep talk, then he gives All Might some info, and that's basically what All Might needs to pick himself back up. Then he goes back to UA. Deku apologizes to him. They have their little reunion, which was nice. And then All Might goes over to tell the police force, hey, Shigaraki is going to be ready in 3 days. Which, like, that's the info Stain gave me, and it seems more accurate than the info that we had where Shigaraki's body will be ready in 20 days, so we should get ready. So, All Might asks for help from other heroes around the world, and it ends with the #1 hero in America flying to Japan to help All Might. Her name is Star and Stripe, and apparently she's calling All Might her master. So that's where the season ends. I mean, it ends with Deku like, talking to his classmates and being like, hey, we're gonna do this together as friendship. But yeah, that's my recap of season 6. A lot happened in this season, and it's just making me excited for for Season 7. I don't know how much longer the series is going to be going on, because at the start of Deku leaving UA in the season, they said it was the start of the final arc. So the series has to be close to ending. I don't even know if the manga is still going, but I'm really, really excited for what is in store for Season 7, because I just really, really enjoyed this one. And had a lot of emotional moments. So, yeah. Anyways, talk about Season 6. Don't spoil anything that happens later on. But, yeah, I really, really liked this season. Like, the episode with Dabi revealing who he is, the episode where Deku fights with Class 1A and tries to avoid them, I really liked. The episode after that where Uraraka gives her speech to the mob of angry people. Those were among my favorite episodes, and I'm just really excited for the rest of the series. This was a really, really good season. Anyways, I'm gonna end it off here. Did a lot of talking, and this is gonna be a very long vlog. I apologize for that, but these other recaps have been long as well, although this is probably going to be the longest one so far, because again, there's a lot that happens. Anyways, I'm going to end it off here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to finish this water bottle. A lot of talking. Later.